I'd like to have us be coming called to order. And our first forum this evening are the candidates who are running for Casitas Municipal Water District. And I'd like to invite them to step up to the stage and take their seats and behind the signs where they've been posted for them. Just wait for the last few people who've just arrived to be able to find a seat. I'm so thrilled that we have such a big audience here. Thank you for coming out tonight. Okay, so we're going to make our comments by sitting down, because we figured it's all among friends, calm, whatever, so we won't be too formal. So I'm going to take my seat. The person who may be standing will be the president, or our past president, who's now in charge of candidates forums, who will be making some remarks about the League of Women Voters. Thank you again for coming here this evening. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Ventura County. The League does not oppose or promote any individual candidate, so we are neutral parties here. And I'd like to begin our program with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everyone would stand. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, very nice sentiments. Okay, and now it's my pleasure to bring you a word from our sponsor, Patricia Essex.
Thank you very much. We're so glad you came tonight. The League was formed in 1920 when the constitutional amendment finally passed, allowing women the right to vote. And of course, with that came half the nation was not prepared to vote. They'd never had any part in politics because they weren't allowed. And so the League is dedicated to empowering voters, encouraging them to be educated, and to encourage them to participate in government. And that's what we do, is we sponsor forums, we register voters. In the last couple of weeks, we've been to high schools all over the county, and we're still doing that, registering voters. We have candidate forums. We've had 5 this week, and we'll have 4 next week, and we had 2 the week before, and we're having a lot of candidate forums, trying to finish them all up before everybody's mail-in ballots have been received. So those are the kinds of things we're doing. Just to let you know, you don't have to be a woman to be a member of the League of Women Voters. In 1974, we opened up our membership to men and women and everything in between. So we're really happy to have you. And if you'd like to join, we have a membership table in the back. And if you want to donate money to us, since we are a nonprofit and we try not to do fundraising, that would be great too. Anyway, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Pat. Okay, so thank you again to the members of the audience for being here tonight to listen to these candidates, and to our candidates for their time and effort in running for these very important positions. Our system of government would not work except for people like them willing to run for public office. So tonight we'll be hearing first from the candidates for the Casitas Municipal Water District Board from Division 4, and then at 7:45 from candidates for the Ventura Unified School District Board from District Number 1. My name is Barbara Doyle, and I will be your moderator tonight. I've been a member of the League for about 15 years. And as Pat said, if you'd like more information about the League or would like to consider joining us and our mission to empower voters and defend democracy. And always those donations, we're happy to take them. Please stop by the membership table that's in the back of the room. So before we hear the opening statements from our candidates, I'd like to ask everyone to please turn off their cell phones. And because we have a large group and we want to move through the questions for the candidates, I will be asking you as the members of the audience, please don't talk among yourselves or make comments during the forum. Only the candidates and I will have microphones and get to speak. And remember to hold your applause. Don't applaud as each person speaks, but instead we will hold the applause and thank both candidates at the end of the forum. So the questions that I'll be asking this evening come from you, the audience. To ask a question, you need to write it on an index card. I know many of you already have, and look at our question sorters, was frantically sorting questions and reading everything that we have gotten so far. If you would like to submit a question, if you need a card, raise your hand. Our monitors will bring one to you. If you have a card filled out, then raise your hand as well, and they will come and pick it up and bring it to the sorting table. So we'll try to ask as many questions as we can. In the interest of time, the sorters may be combining some questions. So if you hear a question that's kind of sort of like the one you turned in, but not exactly, that's probably what happened. And the candidates will have 1.5 minutes to make their opening and closing statements and answer each question. So we have our wonderful timers seating in the front row here, and they will be holding up signs to the candidates to let you know when you have a short time left and when you need to, it's 1 minute, 15 seconds and stop, okay. And because we want to be fair to everyone, I apologize in advance if I cut you off in mid-sentence when the stop sign shows. That's what we got. Okay. And all right. So we're ready to start the program this evening. By pre-arrangement, Angelo Spindrio will go first with making his opening remarks. Please go ahead.
So I need to figure out how this works.
It should be on.
Does this work?
Yeah.
It works. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight, and thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to come and listen. Soon you'll be making the very important decision of who will represent Division 4 on the Casitas Municipal Water Board. Are we in a water crisis in the Ojai Valley? The common definition of crisis is a difficult or dangerous situation that needs serious attention. But originally, crisis denoted the turning point for better or worse. Using these definitions, the answer is most certainly yes, we're in a water crisis. The Casitas Board has been operating for years with the belief that implementing conservation based on 14-year-old assumptions that are no longer valid is all they need to do. This is coupled with the belief that rain will provide the only source of water we need. Clearly, if we don't immediately begin to seriously address the trend of our lake disappearing, we'll be at that crisis turning point for worse. Good evening, my name is Angelo Spandrio, and I'm running for election to represent Division 4 on the Casitas Municipal Water District Board. Division 4 runs from the western edges of Ojai and follows Highway 33 down to the avenue in Ventura. It includes most of Oakview, where we are tonight. For over 2 years, I've been watching and documenting the growing water crisis, and I've been sounding the alarm, but to no avail. I'm running for election to provide board leadership to hopefully prevent this crisis from turning into a potential disaster for the Ojai Valley.
And we'll next hear from our second candidate, Mary Bergen.
I too want to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. I think it's a wonderful thing that you can hear both Angelo and I talk about this issue. Now I want to tell you that I've been actively working on this drought. The Casitas allocation program, with its stage reductions in allocations, is the most immediate and effective way to manage the drought. And our community has responded, conserving at stage 4 levels. I'm starting to work on stage 5. Right now, stage 5 includes a 50% reduction in allocations and a prohibition on irrigating turf. It does not cut off all outdoor watering. I want to define interim levels of stage 5. Casitas is also working on several new sources of water, including drilling into the Mtilahoff Formation to look for new water. And the State Water Interconnect is underway and should be completed by the end of 2022. While a lot is happening, because not many people know about it, Casitas has not been good at communicating. My top priority is to increase communication at Casitas. With the fire and the drought, this last year has been hard for everyone. It's scary not knowing how long this drought will last. But with
Thank you. Okay, and now for our first question, we'll hear first from Mary. There were a whole bunch of questions that were basically asking the same thing. Who is funding your campaign and how will the money be spent? Mary, to you.
I am self-funding. I am very lucky to be able to have some money of my own, so I have had people ask me if they would fund or would be quite willing to give me some money. I'm not expecting to spend all that much. I figured that on the order of $5,000 to $7,000 would be the amount. I'm mostly trying to get through to the individual people and talk to people in my district.
Thank you, and Angelo? Yes, it's how much money do you have for your campaign and where did it come from?
We've raised around $20,000 for our campaign, and that money has come from a wide range of donors. In fact, I just filed my election papers to the Elections Division at Ventura County, naming every single donor and how much they've donated.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll hear again from you, Angelo. So the next question was, what are your qualifications for this position, including any technical training that might prepare you for the job, and what boards, community service groups, or other local communities have you served?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from the University of California at Berkeley. So because of that education, I understand the water language. I have a deep love for the Ojai Valley and refuse to allow it to run out of water or be without a secure water future. I've been studying all aspects of the water situation here for the last 2+ years, and I'm well versed in what's going on with water here in the valley. I've been giving presentations about our water situation for the last 2 years to the Ojai City Council, the Ojai Basin Groundwater Management Agency, and numerous civic organizations in the Ojai Valley. I've addressed the Casitas board on several occasions and was instrumental in finally getting a sediment study done which showed the lake with reduced capacity of around 16,000 acre-feet, around 1 year's supply of water. I've attended many Casitas board meetings and committee meetings and I'm quite familiar with how they operate. I will represent all of the people in Division 4 and of the entire Ojai Valley. Nothing will stand in my way in the achievement of water security for all of them.
Okay, and Mary, same question to you. What are your qualifications, technical training that would prepare you for this job, and what other boards and community service have you done in the past?
Well, I'm a marine biologist. I have a bachelor's from Stanford, a master's from UC Santa Barbara, and a PhD from the University of Southern California. I've spent all my career working on environmental issues related to discharges and impacts. For the last 8 years, I've been on the board, and every day I learn something about the laws, the agencies, the people. For community service, I am president of the board of the crew. I have been on the board of the Ojai Valley Land Conservancy. I'm a member of the Ventura County Sheriff's Posse, and I think I'm out of time.
Thank you. And then Mary, to you now, we've had several questions about the state water. Can you tell us what is happening with getting state water, or if you're in favor of getting state water, and what would you do to facilitate getting it?
Oh, I'm definitely in favor of getting state water, and one of the myths around is that Casitas hasn't been doing anything for state water. Starting in 2016, Casitas, in fact, there's a video that's on the water security site for Casitas that shows all the managers talking about how Casitas has been involved all the way to get the actual pipeline infrastructure from Callejas to Ventura and then on to the west side of Ventura. A couple of days ago, I just got in the Water Resources Committee. We're going to do a RFP to do the conceptual modeling of the last piece that would get state water into the Casitas system.
Okay, and Angelo, same question to you. What are your feelings about state water? How would you go about getting state water?
Yeah, I think absolutely we need to connect to state water. We need another source of water coming into the Ojai Valley. I tend to disagree a little bit with Mary's assessment of where we've come. 2 years ago, Casitas volunteered to sit at the table with Ventura and Callejas and United Water Conservation District to discuss water. $200,000 was allocated for that particular study. Nowhere along the line, except from the very beginning, and that was denied by the city of Ventura, was state water ever going to come to Ojai. And Mary's right. At the last Resources Committee meeting on Tuesday, for the very first time, I saw Phase 3 mentioned, which is an actual pipe to run from Ventura to the Casitas Municipal Water District system. So I'm delighted to see that finally on the program. However, the State Water Project tie-in to Ventura won't be complete until 2022 or 23, and that means that this phase to get to Ojai will follow on after that. So we're even further out in the timeline to get that water to Casitas.
Okay, thank you. And then Angelo, the next question will be for you, and it deals with the diversion canal. So we have a few questions, people saying, why isn't the diversion canal working better? And another one, assuming we actually get any rain this winter, is the diversion canal operational so that water can be diverted into the lake?
Something that just came to light on Tuesday, actually, this past Tuesday, is that a serious deficiency in the Robles diversion canal was brought to light, and that deficiency is something called the timber cutoff wall that was burned during the Thomas Fire, and that wall has to be replaced, otherwise the diversion canal itself can suffer damage. So right now, work is going at a feverish pace to get a purchase order released so that repairs can be made to that diversion canal before the rain starts. That's the biggest problem I think we face. The fish screens need to be replaced. However, we already saw in the Ojai Valley News that those aren't going to be replaced this year. If we have a lot of runoff from the Thomas Fire again, those fish screens will be disabled again this year. So diversion will be unlikely if we get a lot of debris from the Thomas Fire. But I think a bigger issue is to somehow, and these timbers burned during the Thomas Fire, that was 9 months ago. We somehow need to get that diversion canal repaired before the rains start. Otherwise, for sure, we won't be able to divert water.
And Mary, can you answer the same question about the diversion canals being operational?
Yes, and the diversion canal is being repaired and will be repaired. You have to remember that the fish screens have been the way they have since 1962 when the fish ladder was built, and they do work. This last year with the Thomas Fire created additional problems. It is a problem, but we did divert water even though there was only one good storm. I've forgotten what the figure is to how much water we got, but we did. The Thomas Fire runoff was like peanut butter. Casitas is going to do some analysis of other designs, and hopefully next year have a better design for the fish screens so that we can do a better job.
Okay, and thank you for that. Here's a question that was addressed to each of you individually, but it's actually the same question. And I thought I'd like to have a chance to answer too. It says, the lake last crested in 1998. What have you done or what will you do to ensure that the lake levels crest again? So I was going to do my rain dance, but I would like to hear what the candidates have to say. So Mary, first to you.
I would love to answer that question. We don't have any magic solution. All of the new sources of water are going to take time and money. We are dependent on rain. And with the state water, Northern California, if they don't get rain, we will probably not get much state water either. It's hard to take to be dependent on Mother Nature, but I hate to tell you, we are.
And Angela?
I mentioned in my opening comments that Casitas and the Casitas board have been operating with some assumptions that are 14 years old. I think going this entire time with the knowledge that we will conserve water or we will count on rain. And I think the results that we're seeing now are those assumptions are not so valid. That we should have been doing something long ago to ensure that we have another source of water besides rain. I agree with Mary. Right now, the choices are slim and none for how we're going to get water in the lake. We've got to count on water and increase conservation. And Mary pointed out rightly that people are conserving just about as much as they possibly can right now. So yeah, we have to rely on rainfall, but that shouldn't be the case. If you look at South Africa, Cape Town, the problems they suffered, they're identified as lack of planning. And I think we have a case of lack of planning, long-range planning, on getting other sources of water so that we don't have to rely on rain.
Okay, and Angelo, the next question is to you and then to Mary. Do you think the Casitas ratepayers should have had a voice in the takeover of Golden State?
Should have had a what?
A voice, had some input into the takeover? Yeah.
Well, I believe they did. I believe that the people within the city limits of Ojai voted on whether or not to allow this takeover to occur. I'm not that deeply familiar with that, but I think, yes, there was a vote, and the voters within the city limits of Ojai said, yes, let's do this.
The whole takeover of Golden State was dependent on the financing. And the financing was constructed so that people who were Golden State customers would put the cost, which was about $60 million, on their property taxes. And those customers voted 87% to take over Golden State. And the whole idea of that $60 million was for the purchase price and then also for a lot of the repairs going on. There's an advantage with taking over Golden State in that you have a better customer base, and it is a helpful thing despite all the problems in the system for all of the ratepayers.
Okay, and Mary, the next question to you. If elected, or re-elected, what are your top 5 priorities?
Okay, well, I would say number 1 is cultivating communication at Casitas. I think that's been the biggest problem that we've had. We've been doing a great deal, but nobody knows about it. And I think that's a lot of the part of the problems that we have. Refining stage 5 for our allocation program so that we know that we step into it while protecting our businesses in agriculture and community. Following up on the new sources of water. Oh, I've got 2 more to go. And then really trying to get through and get outreach to our customers so that they know what's going on. And I'm having trouble remembering the 5th, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, so it sounds fair enough. Angelo, to you, what are your top 5 priorities?
My top 5 priorities are, number 1, to declare a drought emergency as requested by the Ventura County Board of Supervisors over 7 weeks ago. That request was ignored by Casitas and the board. We need to select a highly qualified general manager. That post is open right now. We need to get a qualified general manager in. We need to make certain, as I said before, that repairs are completed to the roadless diversion facility timber cutoff wall before the rains start. These repairs are necessary to prevent diversion failure. We need to immediately convene meetings with agricultural customers to enter into honest and open discussions on how ag fits into the overall supply-demand picture and how reductions should be done if the water supply becomes problematic. Make certain that all other customers are informed about potential water scenarios in the future and what the impact to their costs may be.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you for your top 5 priorities. So the next question would then go to Angelo, and it has to do with agriculture in this area and the use of a large amount of water for agriculture, even though people are using low-flow toilets and otherwise conserving the water. Can you tell us your thoughts on this and what you would do to make sure there's sufficient water for both the homes and for agriculture?
The survival of agriculture in the Ojai Valley is absolutely critical to all of us. Ag in Ojai says it pays around $500 an acre foot for Casitas water right now, and it skyrockets from there if one goes over their allocation. Ag says that at $400 an acre foot, $100 an acre foot less than what they're paying now, they begin fallowing land. The stated Casitas ag rate for fiscal year 2019 is around $600 an acre foot. In fiscal 2021, that rate is going to go to $745 an acre foot. Something has to be done. There are some alternatives we could look at. We could look at increasing supply groundwater recharge or surface supply. We can decrease demand by reducing crop applied water demand or rotational fallowing or land retirement. There's something called a strategic land retirement and restoration program that could be looked at. What's most important is to get discussions going between Casitas and ag. If they've been fallowing land since a price of $400 an acre foot, we should have been doing something a long time ago before they started fallowing land. We have got to get ag and Casitas together to figure out a solution to this problem. Ag must survive in this valley.
And Mary, same question to you about the impact of agriculture. How can you keep both the homes and agriculture supplied with water?
Casitas is planning to have some meeting with agriculture, and that's exactly why I want to refine stage 5, because we really do have to know at what point we don't have enough water that we will only supply indoor use. Cost is the most important thing for the agricultural customers. It's a tough business. I ran an orchard for 17 years. And again, I think if we have rain, the state water is going to be way too expensive for ag. We have to deal with our supply and get the lake to fill up.
Okay, thank you. And Mary, the next question will be for you and then to Angelo. So what about new water hookups while we've been in the midst of a drought? So we have a finite amount of water, we have ag, we have the existing homes. Has there been new hookups for new purposes?
Casitas has limited the amount of water for new services to, I believe it's 5 acre feet, which is very small. We have not done a moratorium. There's been discussion at the board about doing a moratorium. What has happened before with the moratorium is that people see it coming, you have to run it through the board process, and you get a whole bunch of applications for people who want to make sure they have a hookup, even though they don't have existing plans. So there's some downsides to doing that. But right now we're limiting it by the amount of new water service that we're letting people have to a very small amount.
And Angelo, what are your thoughts about allowing new water hookups?
I think new water hookups need to be suspended. We're in a crisis, we're in a serious situation, and it would be much easier to stop new water hookups than going through the painful process of trying to cut ag or cause the residents of the Ojai Valley to reduce water use further than what they have. They're already doing a great job on conservation.
Thank you. And Angelo, this next question will start with you. So because we now have not enough water, we have people using it, and we have people wanting new hookups. Someone has asked about desal, and what's your thoughts on desalinization, and do you support it, and what are your thoughts about using power such as natural gas or even nuclear power?
Desalination is a polarizing topic, it seems. You have people that are for it, and you have people that are against it. I think I'm for it because I think we need to diversify our water sources. Desalination is not dependent on rainfall. And if we can get a source of water that isn't dependent on rainfall, I think that's a good thing. Desalination technology is racing ahead. Membrane technology is racing ahead. Footprints of desalination plants are getting smaller and smaller. It's going to take years to get the permit process handled. We should start the permit process right now, because by the time the permit process is over, we don't have the faintest idea how far ahead desalination technology will be. So let's get moving on permits, and by then we may have technology that can support desalination in a better way with the price coming down. Desalination is never going to be as cheap as the water we're buying. Well, I wouldn't say never. There are some curves showing that these can cross some years down the road where desalination will become not as competitive, but much more competitive than it is now.
Thank you. And Mary, what are your thoughts about desalinization and the practicality of using it and a power source if we were to do so?
Callejas Municipal Water District, which serves Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley and has a much bigger funding base than we do by far, has studied desalinization. They looked into it very seriously. It was going to cost over $1 billion. And they gave it up because of the permitting issues. The Coastal Commission now requires that your intake structure be underneath the sand, which really increases the cost of a desalinization plant. I think in the longest run, we may come down to that if we seriously are in a different, climate change where we're a desert. We may come down to that, and we can do some small plants for up in the Ojai Valley to use some of our salt bearing water in deeper formations.
All right. Thank you, Mary, for that. And now moving on to another question about where do we get water from? What about using treated wastewater as a way to supply water for the needs in the water district?
Right now, the legal framework is that you cannot put reclaimed water straight into the water system. It's not legal. You can take it and put it into the groundwater and then have a well that's 1,000 feet away and draw it from the groundwater. So here, probably the most likely way to do it would be to have a scalper plant somewhere up in the valley. It could be done, again, expensive, probably not bringing a great deal of water, but it is one of the possibilities.
Okay, and Angelo, what are your thoughts about using treated wastewater for any purpose?
The Ojai Valley Sanitary District plant, as you all probably know, is down near where Petrochem used to be. That plant is on property that's owned by the city of Ventura. The plant leases that facility from, not the facility, but leases the land from Ventura. And reclaiming wastewater is really applicable in a lot of areas. I don't believe it's applicable in our area unless we do it locally. Individual people trying to recycle their water. To recycle the water from this plant, the water that goes through that plant is about 2,000 acre-feet a year. It's not a lot of water. I know it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, like I said before, but there would be huge costs involved on trying to get that water back here. Plus, the city of Ventura wants that water dumped into the Ventura River for fish habitat. So I think the likelihood of us making something happen that's significant with wastewater is not a good path to pursue.
Okay, thank you for that. Switching it up a bit, I have a question about monthly billing, which would go first to Angelo. So the bills used to be, the water bills used to be sent out every other month, but now they're sent out every month. Are you in favor of that? Do you see any cost benefits or some purpose in doing that?
Well, I don't have much to say about that particular topic. I think it would really depend on how the customers feel about it, what kind of customer feedback we're getting. I don't know that it makes that big a difference on whether you get billed for water once a month or every other month. So I apologize. I don't have strong feelings one way or the other on that one.
And Mary, what do you think about the monthly billing?
It's really good. The reason that it went from bi-monthly to monthly is that Casitas replaced meters so that you could have drive-by reading. Before, it was a matter of a person going to every door or to every meter and manually reading, and it couldn't be done. The whole system couldn't be done in a single month. The real advantage is if you have a leak, you can detect it sooner if you get a monthly bill than 2 months. So you can keep a better eye on your water use.
Okay, thank you. And then Mary, the next question would be to you. Do you, with the knowledge that you've gained through your position and your own research and being a member of the community, do you see that we might be facing the lake running completely dry?
You know, that depends upon what we have for rainfall. I think it's about the most unpredictable thing you could possibly do. We happen to be now where the highs and the jet stream has been going north to south, so we haven't been getting the good lows that are off of Point Conception and circling around into our mountains where we tend to get more rain than other people, and we just haven't been getting it. Whether that'll continue, I don't know. I think that Casitas will do whatever it takes to supply households here, but if we don't have rain, we're not going to have our oaks. It's going to be a whole nother environment.
Okay, thank you. And Angelo, same question to you about what do you think is going to happen to the lake from your personal experience and as a resident? Do you foresee it running completely dry?
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. Looking at the lake between 2011 and 2016, the lake dropped by a little over 20,000 acre feet a year. Right now we have 75,000 acre feet of water in the lake. And during those 5 years we had some rainfall. We had between 9 and 11 inches of rainfall every one of those years. That kind of rainfall doesn't do anything to increase the volume of water in Lake Casitas. So if we have 75,000 acre feet left in the lake, and if we're going to go back burning 20,000 acre feet a year, that's not really a big math problem to show that there's not enough water in the lake if we get back into an extended drought period. So I think, yeah, there is a possibility that that lake could become non-functional if we get back into a severe drought situation, and with the rainfall that we had during the 5-year drought between 2011 and 2016.
Okay, thank you. In just a moment, we're going to move to our closing remarks, and those will be made in the reverse order of the opening remarks. So for that purpose, Mary's going to go first. But before we get to that, I did want to thank all of you for being such a great audience, giving us all the good questions. I would like to thank our volunteers. I mean, that we are so fortunate in League of Women Voters to actually have all these people who are here to help with tonight's event. I'd like to start with Larry, the sound guy. Thank you for helping us here. And I'd like to thank our volunteers, Sage, Judy, Teresa, Nancy, Jane, Carol, Pat. I don't think I got everybody. Nancy, there you go, okay. Oh, there, all right, thank you so much. Anyway, thanks for your work. And I'd also like to ask that you give a big round of applause to these two candidates for all their efforts. And now we'll move on to the closing remarks. Are you good? Yes, Sharon and Jane, okay. The list was, hey, there you go. And anybody else who I unfortunately forgot to read their name off, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. And we'll try to do better after the next candidates forum. Okay, so now on to the closing remarks, for which you'll have 1.5 minutes. And Mary, since you were last at the beginning, you'll be first right now.
Thank you. So why should you vote for me? Quite simply, I am the best candidate. I am unique in that I have extensive knowledge of the water system and laws, the agencies and people, and the needs of our community. As a marine biologist, I participated in cooperative interagency programs, navigating my way through technical information, the law, and agency policies and politics. I successfully managed a business. Oh my. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead. I will always consider the facts, weigh the pros and cons, and make a decision with the best interests of the community in mind. I will support all solutions that produce significant water at a reasonable cost. Casitas will provide water to the district no matter what. I'm here to make sure that each step we take is considered and will protect our agriculture, our businesses, and our community in every way that we can.
Thank you. And Angela, your last few words.
Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting and conducting this forum tonight. And thank you to the audience, all of you out there, for taking the time to come out and engage in this water crisis situation that I sincerely believe we can turn around. My vision of a secure and reliable water future and ample water for people, farms, and fish in the Ojai Valley, regardless of new climate changes, can become our reality. With no illusions, it will take hard work, aggressive leadership, innovative and creative thinking, and bold action. We'll have to work together and cooperate. It'll take the will to succeed and the grace to compromise. It will take a new culture at Casitas, a culture of openness, honesty, transparency, and respect. Like you, I love this valley. If elected, I will do everything in my power to bring the changes that can't wait. Please consider voting for me November 6th.
Okay, thank you so much.